Reason number 8,472 why I hate the Toronto Red Star. The TorStar columnist wants Ontario to redesign its provincial flag. I mean, look at that hideous thing, will you? It's so British, it's so colonial, and that makes it, you know, so white. Canada is barely 150 years old, meaning our country is a relative infant compared to so many other nations in the world. As such, we don't have centuries upon centuries of history. So you'd think we'd really want to hang on to whatever little history and tradition that we do have, right? But no, the progressives are all about rewriting history and remaking Canada in their own perverse worldview. And the next piece of tradition to get reimagined, well, Toronto Star columnist Bob Hepburn is champing at the bit for a provincial flag redo. Check out this recent column entitled, "Why Does Ontario Still Fly Outdated Colonist Flag?" Hey, flag schmags, folks. The real query I want to see answered is this: why does the Star still employ a journalist who was last relevant when raptors were running around Toronto? Oh, and by raptors I mean dinosaurs as opposed to basketball players. Anyway, here's his premise verbatim, quote, "The provincial flag should be replaced by a flag that no longer reflects a pro-British bias and instead heralds the fully independent province that modern Ontario is today," end quote. Oh my God, pro-British? You mean Ontario actually has a flag that honors one of the founding nations of Canada? Say, Bob, are you going to take this act on the road and lament Quebec's beautiful provincial flag too? Surely in your eyes, those fleur-de-lis are vile symbols of Eurocentric colonialism as well, right? But the leftist bard, he isn't quite done yet, for he further states, quote, "We've got a flag appallingly out of step with modern Ontario, having both the Union Jack and our coat of arms with the Cross of St. George, the patron saint of England, is an affront to millions of Ontarians born in the province or who have immigrated from somewhere other than Britain," end quote. Okay, at this point, the needle on my internal bullshit detector is firmly veering into the red zone. Do immigrants settling in Ontario really look at the provincial flag and get triggered by its symbols? I mean, really? Because I don't think they do. Of course, Hepburn could have done us all a favor by actually finding some newcomer who is truly upset by this flag, but that would require real reporting, and that would mean Hepburn would have to get his Jurassic candy ass out of his comfy office chair. Oh, and when it comes to provincial flags, be very careful what you wish for. Case in point, Newfoundland's provincial flag used to be the iconic Union Jack. Works for me, but in 1980, it switched to this. Now, according to the government of Newfoundland, this modern stylized Union Jack is broken down as follows, quote, "White is representative of snow and ice, blue represents the sea, red represents human effort, and gold our confidence in ourselves," end quote. Well, of course it does, doesn't it? But in my eyes, folks, this hideous mishmash of colors and angular shapes looks less like a provincial flag and more like the label of an energy drink. But at least the Newfies put some effort into coming up with something different. I mean, Hefford can't even be bothered to offer suggestions for some new whiz-bang, non-triggering Ontario provincial flag. So I'll kindly do it for him. First, how about we replace those stodgy maple leaves with marijuana leaves? That sort of vegetation is way more hip these days. Then we drop that hideously Christian St. George's Cross and replace it with, say, oh, I don't know, the Islamic crescent moon perhaps. Reasonable accommodation, right? As for the Union Jack, I think we should deep six that in favor of the Gay Pride Rainbow Banner. Inclusiveness. Although, then again, perhaps before we greenlight this reboot, we might want to focus group all of that reasonable accommodation. I mean, will devout Muslims be cool with the idea of their crescent moon sharing the same fabric real estate as symbols that champion potheads and the LGBTTTIQQAAPP community? Gee, Bob, methinks this diversity is our strength business can get a tad complicated at times, eh? For the Rebel.media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, the Rebel has a brand new app. Please download that app and take the Rebel with you wherever you go.